What's going on, folks? Steady Gains here. Just wanted to make a quick video going over how to follow the strategy in terms of trims, in terms of sizing, and maybe this will clear up a few questions for you guys. So, starting off, a couple of things I want to go over, things that are pretty much hard set, is whenever I enter a trade, my first trim is always going to be at 10 points. And then from there, it is 5 point increments for the trims. So, for example, if my first trim is at 10 points, second trim is going to be at 15 points, next is going to be at 20, 25, and so on. Now, again, this is something that is true for the most part, unless I state otherwise. There will be times in which I will take 15 points for the first trim or 20 points for the first trim. It just depends on the setup, and obviously the sizing will be according to that as well. Now, in terms of stop losses, my stop losses are always at 15 points. Always. Pretty much 99% of the time. In this last couple of months, I believe I've over 300, 400 trades. I've probably had 1 to 2 in which I did risk a little bit more and I went for 20-point stops instead. Obviously, sizing is going to be different for that compared to doing a 15-point stop. 15-point, pretty much hard set. So this way, whenever you guys see a trade is entered, and sometimes things just move too fast, right? I'm only human. I can't really type so super fast unless you're in VC. You're able to hear it. But this way, you guys are able to know when a trade is entered, where I'm looking for my trims, etc. Going on to sizing next. Now, sizing is something that is pretty subjective, as a lot of people have heard me said before. This is something that is highly dependent on your account size and your risk tolerance on said account. So, a little general basis that I have that you guys can utilize and adjust according to your accounts is going to be, let's say you're using a 50K account. Now, on a 50K account, we typically have, not on a 50K account, but generally speaking, we have three types of sizing that I utilize. And I'm going to give you that according to a 50K account. So we have normal sizing, we have medium sizing, and we have lotto sizing. Each of these presents different risk tolerances. Each of these have different setups for the most part. And what I typically look for when I'm entering these type of trades is dependent on whatever's happening within the market. So it's the according to the risk, that is the sizing that I will use, one of those three. So on a 50K account, what is that going to be? What is that going to look like? Generally speaking, a 50K account should not be in more than one MNQ. Why do I say that? Pretty much because all of these prop firms, or whether you're using your own account, it's not going to be applicable for that. But for these prop firms, the drawdown on a 50K account is generally 2,000 to 2,500. If you're entering more than one contract, you're putting yourself in a very, very, very high risk tolerance position. So, what do? Stop trading NQ and switch over to MNQ. This allows you to have trims, this allows you to scale, this allows you to keep that risk tolerance low. Normal sizing, I would consider 10 contracts of MNQ. So medium sizing would be somewhere around 7 or 6. And lotto sizing will be somewhere around anywhere from 3 to 5. Now, again, this is dependent on your account size, your buffer on that account, your drawdown on that account, and your own risk tolerance. So this is a general rule in terms of sizing that you guys can utilize and adjust according to your size or according to your portfolio or your risk tolerance. Something nice to start out with. That way you're not risking too much, and that way you guys can practice around and see what you're comfortable with. So keep that in mind whenever you hear me say this in terms of the sizing. That is what I am referring to. And one thing also to keep in mind is a lot of the trades do end up being lotto sizing trades, right? A lot of people who have sat with me in VC, a lot of people who have seen my alerts, you guys do notice that. And the thing is, a lot of the setups are risky. If you want to be safe, just skip those lotto trades. Wait for the ones that are medium sizing, wait for the ones that are normal sizing, or only look to take a couple of those, right? Just depends on how you're doing for the day, if you have a nice green buffer built or not. The last thing that I want to go over is in terms of our risk to reward. How do you guys keep this maximized, right? It's a big question that people have. If you take a look, keeping my stops set at minus 15 points allows me to have a calculated stop. I'm always pretty much doing 15-point stops, as I mentioned earlier. Having my first trims at 10 points allows me to move my stops into profit. Now, this is also dependent on the setup. This is also dependent on what's currently going on within the market. Sometimes I will put my profit stops one tick in profit. Sometimes I'll put them one. Sometimes I'll put them 5 points. This is always dependent on the current situation. However, stops are always moved into profit when first trims are hit. When my second trims are hit, my stops have been moved up more than 1 to 4 points in profit at that point. At that point, I'm not risking it anymore. I'm looking to lock it in if it pulls back or if it pulls back from the position that I'm in. Sorry. So, a couple of things to keep in mind for this. If there's anything that you guys are still confused about, or if you want more explanation or have any questions, shoot me a DM or at me in the chat. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I will see you guys next time.